Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Cesar Rondina, best-selling author, and welcome to this week's blog post, The Author's Pen. This week is a video blog post, which is a week late. Normally it would be last week, but the weather gods were kind enough to bless Connecticut with a tornado that came down, which happens to be very rare. But in this particular case, it came within 3 blocks of my house and was kind enough to leave me with a mess that took about a good week to clean up. So I was kind of off the grid. So my video blog post is coming out a week late this month. I apologize for that. So let's talk about what the topic of tonight's blog post is about, because we could talk about hours on this subject, and we don't want to do that. I like to try and keep my video blog posts to 10 or 12 minutes. So the topic for tonight's video blog post is there's no such thing as systemic racism. Now, when I posted that on my social media platforms, it blew up. I got so many messages and direct messages, people telling me I'm crazy, I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, that's also the farthest thing from the truth, because I do know what I'm talking about. And very seldom will I talk about a topic that I don't know what I'm talking about. And if I'm not sure, I'll research it. But when it comes to systemic racism, I am telling you, there is no such thing as systemic racism in this country. And I'm going to tell you why. We have a beautiful language. The English language is a beautiful language. There's many different colorful ways of saying things, many different ways of expressing words. But the problem with our language is not with the language, it's with the people. Okay? And what I mean by that when I say it's with the people is people tend to use words and phrases to mean what they want them to mean. Now, not throwing a stone at the media, because the media does what it has to do, but the media needs to draw attention, and they're going to stoke you up. Whether it's deliberate, whether it's inadvertent, they're going to use phrases that draw attention. And systemic racism right now is a set of 2 words that draws a great deal of attention. However, it's the farthest thing from the truth. Do we have racists in this country? We most certainly do. Does our country still suffer from racism? It most certainly does. But it does not, and I repeat, it does not suffer from systemic racism. And I'm going to tell you why. But to do that, let's first look at the definition of the word systemic. Systemic is this. It refers to something that is spread throughout, affecting a group or a system such as a body, economy, market, or society as a whole. Period. Now, the key words in that definition are as a whole. That means for us to say something is systemic, it deals with everything within that system. So if we're going to say we have systemic racism in our society, what we are saying is every individual that walks on the face of this planet is a racist. Okay? That's what would make it a systemic problem. And that is not true. And I'm going to tell you why it's not true. First off, I'm not a racist. I don't believe in racism. When I look at a person, I don't look at the color of their skin. I look at the person. If they treat me with respect, I will in turn show them that same respect. I don't care whether they're black, white, brown, green, purple, or orange. All right? So just because there's one person, in this case, which is me, which is not a racist, there is no such thing as systemic racism. Now, if we're going to talk medicine, medicine uses terms and science uses terms very accurately. So when you go to a doctor and, God forbid, there's a problem with a family member and they say it's a systemic problem, they're dealing with the complete body system. They're dealing with it as a whole. So when someone in the media says, is there systemic racism? And I heard a recent interview with President Trump where someone asked him, what are you going to do about systemic racism? There's no such thing as systemic racism. Let me get that through your heads, and let me say it again. There's no such thing as systemic racism. Not every single police officer is a racist. Therefore, it's not systemic. Not every doctor, not every lawyer, not every nurse, not every judge, not every president, not every congressman, not every senator is a racist. Therefore, it is not systemic. So please, if anybody from the media is watching this, stop using that terminology, systemic racism, because it does not exist in this country. Now, can we cure racism? Can we stop people from becoming racist? Sure, but you have to understand something about racism, okay? It is a learned behavior. It is not an innate behavior, meaning by innate, it's something we are born with. We are not born being racist. Our children are not born being racist. If they become racist, it's because they've learned that behavior from either watching their parents as they were young and growing up, or when they get out into society. If you take young children, pre-K or kindergarten, and say to junior high, these kids get along great. They don't look at each other as black and white. Racism has not really hit them yet. But once the media gets involved, they start watching the news, they see what's going on in the world, and then you have certain antagonistic organizations, and we all know who and what they are. I don't need to mention their names, because honestly, their names are irrelevant. You could call it Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, White Lives Matter, Irish Lives Matter, Italian Lives Matter. I don't care what the hell you call the organization, okay? Once any organization starts to stoke things up, it becomes a poison, okay? So, because of this, I can't impress enough. Get the idea of systemic racism out of your head. It does not exist. But I could tell you this, if we continue to promote it, it will exist. It will develop, and it will become a systemic problem. Okay? The problems in our country, socially, need to be solved by the people. You cannot and you will not create any laws or any policies that will cure or stop a racist individual or racism as a whole. Laws and policies won't do that. Only people can do that. So, look at it this way. If you have a wound and you keep opening up that wound, it'll start to heal. You open it up again, you have to wait for it to heal. Eventually what happens is you're going to open that wound so many times that it's going to get infected and you're going to have an infection. And that's what racism is. All right? Until people get over the terrible past this country has had when it comes to slavery, injustice, social injustice, racism, and it has nothing to do with black and white. People look at racism as being black and white. It's not just about that. It's whether it's dealing with any color of a person's skin or their culture or religion. So racism is a broad term. All right? And until we put that past behind us, because the bottom line, people, is we can't change it. We can't change what has happened to people. We can't change the social justice. All right? So if we continue to take our past into the present, all right, then what we do in the present is going to pave the path for the future. All right? So, racism is an infection. This wound keeps getting opened time and time again. Let the damn wound close and heal once and for all. Move into the times of the present, forget the past, and now we could decide how we're going to pave the road for the future. So when I say to you, systemic racism does not exist, it does not exist. You think about that and you remember that for the future. God bless America. Be safe and stay well. Thank you.